training processor on industrial, but since we don't have one, that's the next best thing. It is the home version of Breville, and all blenders pretty much do the same thing. So we've got a couple of safety issues that we need to come across. Obviously, when you're cleaning this, don't put it in water. It's electrical, something's going to happen, you're going to get into trouble and probably go to hospital. You've got very sharp blades. If you're not careful with them, you can cut yourself when you're handling them. Take them out of the jar and everything else. So the machine itself has got a couple of safety features. It will lock on itself, so it won't work until the locking mechanism is in. That means once that's locked in there, then everything else will start to fall into place and then the machine will work. So once that's set, you've got all the features. So you've got the actual machine itself with the motor. One of the things you need to do is not keep it next to the end of the bench, because once the motor is spinning, it tends to vibrate and they can fall off the bench and hurt yourself, damage the machine, and yeah. So this is what we do. We assemble the jug first, make sure it's locked into position, and it's usually a nice decent locking mechanism. Then you can either choose two of the blades. You've got the cutter blades, which you can use for making mince, chopping vegetables, making doughs as well. So that just goes in. You can see that you've got the teeth there, and they're all just kind of join in and lock. And here's the lid. The lid's got the same locking mechanism as the jar. So it's not going to work, the whole machine won't work until this is locked in. So as you can see, pressing all the buttons is not going to work. Ideally, you don't want to do that. So what you want to do, lock it into place. So that's pretty much, the machine will work now. As you can see, it'll work. Once you do that and take it off, or it's not fully locked in, it's not going to work. So lock it in, that's a fully functional machine. And then you've got these two adapters. One is the food chutes to push all the food down into the blades, so you're not using your hands or any other kitchen utensils, which is very dangerous. So that's the first one. For if you've got big items, just push it straight through. If you've got little ones, you put the attachment and then you add the extra pusher. So that is the one version of using this machine, and also all your safeties. The other way is make sure it's off first before you touch anything. This one you can attach it the same as the blades. It's very useful to making short class breads, biscuits, and things like that, because it doesn't overwork the dough and it's made out of plastic. Well, that one will cut everything up. And with that, you've also got the attachment blades. Now you need to be very careful with these. They're very sharp. As you can see, one side it doesn't have any cutting attachments, but it is on the other side. So you've got three different versions of this, as well as slicings. So you can slice tomatoes, vegetables, carrots, and you can go crazy. Make salads in a couple of seconds and things like that. So pretty much these attach the same way as the rest of it, just at the top. Put the lid back on, and then off you go. That will chop everything that you put in there, or grate it if you want to grate carrots for a carrot salad, or if you want to slice tomatoes for a tomato salad, I guess. So what I'm going to do now is do a little demonstration on how to use this machine. So I've got some carrots here that I'm going to use up, and we're just going to shave them finely using the attachment.
What attachment's that?
That is the fine attachment, which has got all the cutting teeth on this side, and it's also got a blade on the other, so be careful on the way you handle these, because you'll could cut yourself there, razor sharp. So safety first. And that's it. Always make sure that the the motor stops working before you open it up, or else you could hurt yourself. So take everything out. And you got nice fine chopped carrots.
Coleslaw.
For coleslaw, exactly. You can do your cabbage in here as well. You just need to change the blade to the cutting one that's got a sharp blade on there, and you do the same thing. So that's the food processor. Now, in order to do that, take everything out as you need to. Washing it, you can wash it with hot soapy water or in the dishwasher.
What happens if that gets dirty?
I would wash it with just a damp cloth, hot soapy water. You don't want to submerge that. Unplug it, make sure the machine is switched off, switch it off at the power point, and just unplug it, give it all a nice wipe with a damp cloth, and pack it away. Now with machines like this, you don't want to pack them up too high in the shelves because they can fall and hurt someone. You don't want to also store them near hot items or water, because if you splash water into these, you can get inside and you can short circuit and have other issues with the machine itself, and can be very costly to repair. And that's it. Any questions?
No.
No questions? Okay. I want to get someone to come out and try and grate some cheese that we have here. So what I'm going to do is just take the outside rind of the cheese, cut it in half first, so it fits in that chute, and then cut off the rind, which is not very nice to eat. So that can go in a bin. So Natalie, would you like to come out and demonstrate how to use the machine? It's always good to practice safe hygiene, washing hands before you use any food equipment and handle any food equipment.
That?
Yes. So make sure that locks into place, yeah?
Yep.
And then add your attachment. So it all depends. If you want to use this one here, it'll come out like a really fine cheese, or if you use a slightly bigger one, you get nice pieces.
Okay.
So I would suggest that one. Yep, so make sure it locks in properly. Okay, now put the lid on. Yep, so that's all fully working,
Yep.
fully functional.
Yep.
So now you can add your piece of cheese on the top, through the chute. If it doesn't fit, give it a chop, trim it up. Be careful when handling sharp knives, keep your fingers away from the blade.
Like that?
Yep, you can add the two pieces at the same time. Sure, now put the chute through.
Pulse?
You can pulse it or you can just switch it on. Because it's cheese, just switch it straight on. Don't press too hard because you might bend the disc. You want to give it enough pressure that it cuts, but not too much that the disc bends. And stop it. Cool. So now take it apart and put it in through wash. Yeah, that can be a bit tricky sometimes with the lock-in mechanism. So yeah, that's fine. You always get a little piece of cheese that doesn't go through. We call that the chef's treat.
Like that?
Yep, you can always just grab it from the middle as well. Makes it
That's
easier. Yep. And there you go, you've got perfectly cut cheese that you can use for pasta, lasagna, you know. Why buy the packet stuff from the shop when you can make your own, which is, you can choose whichever cheese you want and it's so much better.
Mmm.
Now we're going to make some homemade mayonnaise using the same machine. So with this you can see how versatile this machine actually is. So let's start with a bowl in place. Add the choppers. So then get 3 eggs and just break them into a bowl. I like to use 3 whole eggs for the mayo and 1 egg yolk. It's just a personal preference. gonna get the machine going. Olivia, would you like to come and give me a hand? Would you like to get the machine started, please? Yep.
On.
Yep. So I would recommend putting this on, just in case you don't, so you don't get splatters. So put that up, because it's liquid, you're gonna get splatters everywhere, and then it's more clean up at the end of the job. So let that go for a bit, and then we add the other ingredients. So what this does is just mix all the eggs together and start blending them, so we can add the rest of the ingredients to make the mayonnaise. So as you can see, I don't have the machine on the edge of the bench or on the chopping board as I have it here, because the vibration of this machine, it actually tends to move sometimes. So you need to make sure it's in a stable position and don't move it around while it's working. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of garlic. So about a teaspoon, sorry. A little bit of vinegar. And a bit of Dijon mustard. Or seeded mustard, whichever one you like. So it's about a teaspoon of each. And then switch it on again. So as you can see, everything's nice and incorporated there. So we'll put it back onto the mix and we'll start adding the oil bit by bit. So preferably take that off and then add your oil through, because that way it's just too much mess. This one narrows it down a bit. So Olivia, do you want to go ahead? Make sure it's all on properly, yep. Switch it on. And then add the oil bit by bit. Yeah, keep going. Because it's a machine, and it whips it so quickly, it narrows the chance of it actually splitting. So you can add quite a bit more of olive oil than normal. If you're doing this by hand, you can't whip it fast enough, so you need to add bit by bit, but using a machine is so much easier. So do you want to stop for a bit, let it incorporate itself? So once it's got to the stage where you've got oil and any other residue on the side, use a spatula and you can just push it all down. That way you get an even mix of all the ingredients.
Do you have to take the...
You can take it off to make it easier.
Okay.
So that actually, works out easier. Then bring that and put it back in. Okay, Olivia. So you want a consistency similar to cream. Keep whipping it. Beautiful. That's all the oil in. And now we check it we season it, a bit of salt and pepper. We can always add a bit more salt or pepper later on if we need to.
Can you add the salt and pepper from the top?
Yeah, you can, but what happens is the salt and peppers get stuck on the chute, especially if you have a little bit of oil in here.
Yep.
So then you don't get anything inside the actual mayonnaise itself. So, I'll give you an example. If you do it from the out, you get
Yeah, it's all stuck.
all the salt stuck on the side.
Yeah.
Give it another quick pulse, which is one of the features of this machine. You don't need to have it all switched on straight away just like that. You are able to just mix it. Would you like to come out and taste? Does it need anything?
Maybe something acidy or something?
Yep. I think it needs a bit more vinegar.
Yeah.
And always use a new spoon when you're tasting. You don't want to double dip. So like I said, I'm using the pulse just to get it all mixed and incorporated. Have a try that.
That's better. It tastes better.
So as you've seen, there's so many different uses for this machine. You can make pasta out of it. You change your attachment to the plastic, and then you add your flour, your eggs, and that's it. And it all comes together and you can make your homemade pasta. It's so much
Does the
easier.
machine overheat if you keep it on for a long time?
It will start to overheat. If you start to whip the mayonnaise for too long, you'll notice that you'll start to get cooked egg on the inside. I'll show you. So what happens, because there's the friction of this attachment onto the bowl, and that'll start to heat up. So you don't want to have it whipping for too long, because then you're going to
It doesn't matter what machine?
It doesn't matter what machine. Like if you have this machine or a mixer, you don't want to have it switched on for too long, because it will start to heat up the motor, and then you'll have a burnt motor, which you need to get it replaced, or probably might need to buy a whole new machine.
Okay.
So that's the 3 uses: chopping, grating cheese if you need to, and making mayonnaise and other dips in the blender.
Cool.
Okay, you can switch it off now. Okay, well this is the session 2, which I will be demonstrating and hopefully teaching you guys how to use the mixer. Now this is pretty much just a home mixer that you can use. You got the attachments, you got I think it's a 1.5 litre bowl. You got the whisk that you can use to aerate egg whites, cream. You got the dough hook. Its name pretty much is for the dough. Make pizza dough, bread dough in here. And you got the paddle. They also call this a scraper. So pretty much you got the plastic bits on the side that scrape the bowl as it mixes. So today we're going to do a banana cake. So you pretty much need white sugar, self-raising flour, bicarb soda, some nuts that are prepared earlier using pistachios, almonds, and a bit of chocolate, which are these ones here. 3 bananas and 2 eggs. So what we're going to do first is I'll give you a demonstration of the machine. So you got the jug, which needs to clamp onto the base.
Is it a jug or a bowl?
Jug, bowl, whichever word you want to use. Smart. So that clamps onto the machine, as you can see. There's little in-grooves and indents in the bowl, and they just lock on like so. You've got a little release system at the back, which you just lift up here, and that releases it from being down to up, and from being up to down, vice versa. In doing that, you've also got all the attachments which hook into in a specific location with a pin. So as you can see, trying to come around, that they fit like so.
Cool.
Alright? So what we're going to do first is, I have 125 grams of butter, which I pre-cut for room temperature. It makes it easier to then cream it with the sugar that we're going to use. So I'll put the paddle on.
Scraper.
Scraper or paddle. Can you shut up?
Sorry.
Okay, so from that we're going to go into 1 cup of sugar. You can either use the old school measuring cups or you can just weigh it out. 1 cup of sugar is 125 grams. They go straight into the bowl. With that, we're going to add the butter. And this machine has got different settings. You can aerate it with the creaming, beating, light mixing, folding, and 0. With this, you want to make sure that you don't have any hair dangling down because it can get stuck in the machine itself. You don't want to stick your hands in there while the machine's working, for obvious reasons. You're going to get your hand caught in there, and use a spatula when the machine is off and upright. 1, it's going to give you more space, and 2, you're not going to get your spatula caught inside the machine. If you do get anything caught in the machine, stop it straight away and take it out. Don't jump in there with your hand. So we're just going to start slowly mixing this through. So as you can see, the scraper is pushing the sugar and the butter from the edge of the bowl into the center. You just want to incorporate the butter and the sugar together and slowly increase the speed to the creaming section, which is number 4.
This machine is similar to the, what's that? The
Food processor. Yeah.
It's the same principle as
Same
well.
principle, yeah.
So not leaving it
So you don't want to...
side, not leaving it up high.
Exactly. This one's, it's a quite heavy machine itself, so I doubt that you'll be able to put it on the top shelf anyway. As you can see, it is vibrating a bit, so you don't want to have it close to the edge of the bench. And if you're doing this with kids, keep them supervised. Don't go off and answer the phone and talk to your mum or whatever. So keep an eye on it. So just going to increase it to the 4, which is the creaming section. It can get quite loud. So you'll start to see that the butter and the sugar will change colour. It'll go from a yellow to a pale yellow, almost like a creamy colour. And the faster you go, the more this drops, so that's why you've got to keep it in the centre. You also want to preheat your oven to 165 degrees, so it's nice and hot. Okay, that's been creamed. So I would like to mash the bananas. So we're going to use the food processor as I did on the session 1. So Natalie, would you like to process these? Obviously you're not going to do that because the skin is not going to get separated from the banana. So you need to peel the bananas first.
Okay.
We'll cut it, don't worry.
When the bananas aren't very ripe, it's just easy to make a little slit and peel them like this. So do you want to get the machine ready?
Which bit? This bit?
No, we're not going to process it, we want to blend it. So we use that one.
Blend it. Blend it.
Yep. Put the bananas in there without the skin. And while you're doing that, I'll put the eggs into here. Crack 2 eggs. fingers.
Mm-hmm.
While that's happening, I'll get this on the go again. So in here you got the flour, you got the butter, you got the 2 eggs. You're going to switch that on and get that going. Pulse that a little bit. Yep. I think that's right. Just take all the banana out. Do you want to pour that into the bowl, Olivia? To make it easier to get it in the bowl if you
She
remove
got it
that.
out of the bowl.
That's alright.
Yeah, no, I realized.
She's cleaning up after.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Missing. So does it work when the thingy's up?
No,
The
no,
top here?
it doesn't work.
Mechanism?
So nothing will work unless it's fully locked into place. Same as that machine here, the food processor won't work until the lid and the jug is clicked in properly. So just mix that again. You don't want to overwork it because then the cake's not going to rise that well. So what we're going to do now is add a pinch of salt. Some of the self-raising. Okay, we have 1 cup of self-raising flour sifted. I'm going to add another one, so 2 cups in total. And then we're going to add half a teaspoon of bicarb soda. This helps the cake rise. Push through all the little rocks of bicarb soda. So what we're going to do now is add that to the mix that we've already got the bananas in there.
So can you add it while it's on?
You can at a low speed. If you have this going too fast, you're going to get a big cloud of flour going everywhere. So if you have it on a really low speed, it's going to incorporate it nicely and it's not going to go everywhere. And add it bit by bit. That's all the flour in. Okay, now we're going to add a cup of those nuts that I was talking about before. Just going to give it a nice little crunch. And that's it. Switch that off. So as you can see, it's nicely incorporated.
I can't see.
No lumps, no bumps. Just using a spatula to take all the mix out of the paddle or the scraper. Who wants to taste? You don't want to taste the raw cookie dough?
It's not good.
Okay, the raw mixture.
Tastes like banana flour.
Okay, we're going to use one of these tins. You can use a loaf tin. I like these ones because you get a nice even cooking all the way through because it's got the hole in the middle. Just want to lightly spray that with cooking oil. All the way around so your cake doesn't stick. Grab all the mixture from the sides and you want to just pour it in bit by bit. Not all to one side or else it's not going to fill up the whole tin. Make sure you get all of it out. And there you have it. Banana cake ready to go in the oven.
How do you clean that?
Now that's, sorry, what was that?
How do you clean that?
Well, hot soapy water using a tea towel or a cloth, whatever you have on hand, preferably a kitchen tea towel would be good because it's nice and clean. Just give it all a nice wipe, don't submerge it. Make sure you clean this little part here because it gets full of flour and things when it's mixing. And yeah, you don't want to leave any dough or anything around that you're working on these machines because it can get quite disgusting.
Can you only like mix things in this? Like, you know, with the food processor,
Yep.
you can chop things. Is this basically just for baking?
Yes, pretty much with these machines you only use it for bacon. You can make small amounts of bread with it, but as you saw the size of
That's
the bowl,
baking,
it's not
yeah.
that big. So
How about an industrial one?
industrial ones, you have no problems with it. Industrial ones will be 10 times the size of this bowl.
But basically the same thing.
Basically the same thing. It'll be just made out of steel, bigger bowl, about 5 or 10 litre bowl, where that one's probably just 2.5. Bigger whisks, bigger hooks and bigger paddles or scrapers. So it's completely different to using it at home, where this machine here, the food processor is very similar, just scaled down a bit. So yeah, so the oven is 65 degrees, preheated, fan forced. That'll probably take about 45 minutes to 50 minutes depending on your oven. If it's electric, it might take a little bit longer, but always check with the skewer in the middle to make sure it is cooked. Once the skewer comes out nice and dry, then it's ready to go. Cool.
Thank you. Oh, he doesn't
So
need
you
to
don't
say
get
anything.
speech.
Just don't say
Okay,
anything.
it's filming. Just start saying it when you want to. But the shot's about there. So you have to put it there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is check the cake, see if it's cooked.
Mmm.
What are you, a fucking cow?
Alright, go again. Let's go again. I'll try and keep as much as I can. Are you not? If I do it there, try and keep what I can in the shot.
Yeah.
I can't see you though.
Alright, so what we're going to do now is check
Hold
to
on.
see.
I can actually get you in the shot. Okay, go now.
So what we're going to do now is check to see if the cake is cooked. You can use mittens or you can use a tea towel, just make sure it's very dry. So we're just going to open it up. and have a look. So it's got enough colour. We'll check it with a skewer. So what you need to look for is that there's no excess cake on the skewer. So as you can see, there's plenty of it, so it's definitely not ready. Put it back in the oven and give it about another 10 minutes or so. So now we're going to check the cake to make sure it's cooked. Once again, dry tea towel. Check it in different places. It looks fairly cooked to me. As you can see, it's nice and dry. Take it out of the oven, be careful. And there you have it. Banana cake.